correct. Time for the big boss with the hot sauce. You see, that's me. I am the Geator with the heater being on the record. Up with a single, wop and bop and chip bone.
Once again, let me say greetings and salutations to the entire population of this fantastic nation. My name is the Geator, the big boss with the big hot sauce, and you're on the air, and what a show. We've got the fantastic Four Seasons. We've got Johnny Maestro and the Brooklyn Bridge, but to kick things off, let's go back to the year 1962 with the Contours. If you know your rock and roll music, you know that Billy Gordon is the cousin to Mr. Jackie Wilson. In 1962, this is one of the first songs that Berry Gordy writes for his own label, the Motown label, and the rest is all musical history. They just take a little pause and then they come back and sing. Top 10 in 1962, and that's what the show's going to be all about tonight on the air with yours truly, the Geator. Johnny Maestro in the early 60s, he's singing with the fantastic Quest. When we come back, he's with the Brooklyn Bridge.
16 candles make a lovely night, but not as bright as your eyes tonight. Blow out the candle.
Song he makes in 1958, 16 Candles. But now let's go to 1962, the song by the Four Seasons they talk about. Cha-Cha-Cha. Bob Gaudio, along with Bob Crew, they write it. It's the first time that Bob Crew puts together the sound of the Four Seasons. Combination of Bob Gaudio, Frankie Valli, and the great producer by the name of Mr. Bob Crew. It is now my pleasure to let you hear and see on my Geator Phonovision, my man, Frankie Valli.
Hey, Geator with the heater.
Frank, you're looking too good.
Can you see me?
Yeah.
Man, what kind of phone is this, man? Where's the camera, man?
It's the Geator Phonovision.
Uh-huh.
Wait.
I always said you were way ahead of the times, man.
Franklin, we got to get serious because our audience is out there looking. Tell me, where does it all begin, the association with the Four Seasons?
Well, actually, it all began in Newark, New Jersey.
Right. But before that, you're singing with other groups, right?
Let's see, I was with Billy Dixon and the Topics.
Right.
I was Billy Dixon.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. The Village Voices. Frankie Tyler, the Four Lovers, the Romans.
The Romans, I remember that group. But when do you get hooked up with Bob Gaudio?
I'm not sure. I think it was Pittsburgh, but we were promoting a record, and the Royal Teens were also promoting a new record that they had out at the time, and I met Gaudio on that show.
So you're with one group, and he is with another group, and it's the combination of the groups.
Seriously, that's actually the way we met. And then we met later in New Jersey. You know, we exchanged telephone numbers, and I'll really let you on something that a lot of people are really not aware of, and that Bob Gaudio, before he and I hooked up, he was working with a local group. This is after his bust up with the short shorts, the Royal Teens, right? He was working with Joe Pesci in the band.
Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci was playing guitar. Yes.
Rock and roll band.
Oh, yes, he was. Excellent singer, man.
That's amazing, folks. How about that? Joe Pesci, the actor, is working with Gaudio. Frank, so the Four Lovers are no more, and the Royal Teens are no more. But how does it evolve where Gaudio now comes up with the idea with the harmony?
He likes the way I sing. I like the way he writes songs. We make some records. We go in the studio. We cut some sides that we spec. We're taking them around to sell.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now, how does Bob Crew, who produced things with Frank Slay for Freddie Cannon and other groups, how's he get involved now?
We have an appointment with Larry Utah, who had Madison Records at the time, where we're in his outer office. Out of his inner office walks Bob Crew. Bob Crew and I know each other. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Well, we're here. We've made some records. We're going to see if Larry likes them. We're trying to sell them. Listen, here's my telephone number. Let me know what you do. I'd like to hear them. To make a long story short, Utah wasn't really crazy about the records that we've made.
What does Bob Crew then do for you?
He takes us into the studio, we record Sherry, and here we are.
Yeah. Abner Hewitt, who buys the record for VJ, what did he pay you a royalty at that time for the record?
He paid 16 cents a record to Crew.
Frankie, there's no performer in 1962 that is getting that kind of royalty.
Everybody was getting 5 cents and 4 cents and 8 cents, but there certainly were no 16-cent deals.
No. The name The Four Seasons, where does it come from?
That came from an audition in a bowling alley cocktail lounge in New Jersey, in Union, New Jersey. The sound of the name just sounded so terrific. I said, that'd be a great name to use to make some records. The Four Seasons.
The Four Seasons. Well, it's a wonderful name. The harmony, Frank. The harmony was exceptional at that time.
You know, the harmony idea was nothing new. I mean, the harmony was an intricate part of my life very, very early on. I mean, as a little kid, I was listening to groups like the Four Freshmen, and the Modernaires, and the Hi-Los. And in most modern singing, the lead was always on top. And we just thought it'd be a great idea, since everybody who was recording rock and roll was doing it where, you know, the lead was somewhere in the middle and it was surrounded by background. And the high parts were always the top
Falsetto.
of the harmony. We said, let's do it where the high parts are the melody.
But Frank, the songs, those wonderful songs.
Great writers. It has to be. I mean, you know, you think about it, and Cherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, Walk Like a Man. Gordio Crew.
Frankie Valli, The Four Seasons. Frankie, I gotta tell you, that song, Silence is Golden, even though not a hit record, one of my favorite songs.
I mean, Silence is Golden was the B-side of Ragdoll. It should have been a single, you know, and evidently the record company at that time just didn't really believe in it as far as it being a single, but somebody did. The Tremolos came along and heard it and said, hey, this B-side sounds like a single to us, let's record it. They did it exactly.
It is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'll tell you another song that I think just brought the entire group up another notch. I Got You Under My Skin.
Actually inspired by, you know, by the boss, Sinatra.
When you guys were in Florida, right?
Right, at a music convention again, you know.
Yeah. Frankie, when are you at your happiest?
As we get older, Jerry, our values seem to blossom more and more. You know, I have a 5-year-old son. I have a great wife, and I'm incredibly happy when I, you know, just knowing that I have them and that they love me and I love them back, and I'm able to go out on the road and do what I do, and they accept it and love me for it. So that's when I'm probably the happiest.
Frank, I love you for being my pal.
And I love you for being Jerry Blavat, my friend. And I know it probably sounds like we're throwing flowers at each other, but it's really true. I mean, through thick and thin, through sleet and rain and snow and milk and mud and all that crap, we have always been friends, and that probably will exist as long as there's a breath in each of us.
Frankie, you're absolutely wonderful. My real buddy, little Frankie Valli. In 1966, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, they make a song that sounds like this.
I can see there ain't no room for me. You're only holding out your heart and sympathy. If there's another man, then girl, I understand.
1966, it's top 10. And it's written, by the way, not by Crew Gordio, but by Sandy Linzer and a young man by the name of Denny Rendell. They also write some great things in the 70s for a group called Odyssey, and also for Mitch Ryder and the Detroit Wheels. Will the world ever again hear the magnificent compositions that Frankie Valli, Bob Gordio, and Bob Crew put together? I don't think so. We don't want you to go away, because when we come back, we're going to take you back to 1962. We're going to Brooklyn, and you're going to see and hear the fabulous Eugene Pitt and the Jive Five singing My True Story. Brooklyn, and when you talk about soul, rhythm and blues, and street corner harmony, the very best. In the background right now, a young fellow by the name of Edwin Starr. He begins his career the same time that Eugene Pitt begins his career in Brooklyn, but he begins his career singing with a gospel group called the Edwin Hawkins Gospel Singers. And in 1967, he's on his way. In 1968, he's got a hit with a song called 25 Miles. In 68, it comes out. By 69, it's top 10.
I've been walking for 3 days and 2 lonely nights. You know that I'm mighty mad. But I got a woman waiting for me that's gonna make this trip worthwhile. You see, she's got the kind of loving and the kissing I'll make a man go stone wild. So I got to keep on walking. I got to walk on.
Sound familiar to you? It should, because in the early part of the 50s, Harvey Fugwa was with the fabulous group called the Moonglows. It's also produced by Johnny Bristol, who does some wonderful things in the latter years with the Supremes. You talk about cooking and kicking. Guess what? That's exactly what we do on this show each and every day when you hang out with yours truly, the Geator, the big boss with the big hot sauce. But guess what? As all good things must come to an end, so must this show. Until we do it again, and of course, what can I say? Got to thank Frankie Valli, the fabulous Brooklyn Bridge with Johnny Maestro, and also Mr. Eugene Pitt. Same time, same place, next week. Remember, until then, you keep on rocking, because you're going to find out truly in life you really only rock once. Bye-bye.